10 rules King Charles doesn't have to follow. Taxes. King Charles III won't have to pay a dime in inheritance tax. This is a huge win for King Charles, as the unfortunate passing of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, he gained a rather large inheritance. Most people would have to pay roughly 40% in taxes on an inheritance upwards of $375,000. The decision that the British monarch would not have to pay an inheritance tax came about in 1993, when then Prime Minister John Major agreed to a tax arrangement with the royal family. Major said, "In the unique circumstances of a hereditary monarch, special arrangements are needed for inheritance tax." Forbes estimated he inherited his mother's portfolio worth $500 million, to which not a dime goes anywhere except to the king, including the $42 billion fortune belonging to the crown. This tax deal also exempts them from paying income tax, a deal to which Queen Elizabeth and now King Charles both agreed to do so anyway. No hassle flights. King Charles won't need a passport, so King Charles, go ahead and shred that passport because we know who you are. British passports are issued in the name of the monarch, so when you are the monarch, doesn't really make sense, does it? The Queen was the only member of the royal family who was afforded this privilege. As Royal points out, even her husband Prince Philip and the Prince Charles had to travel with a passport. However, by this logic, Charles as king will get an exemption. Therefore, King Charles never has to deal with the panic of misplacing his passport, and to that I must admit my jealousy. I am speed. Well, not me, but King Charles. King Charles doesn't have to obey by speed limits. To a degree. The Road Traffic Regulations Act means that vehicles associated with police, fire, and ambulance services are exempt from following speed limits when they're performing their specific duties. So King Charles can't just zoom 120 past everyone in a school zone, but when the royal family is on duty, they're accompanied by a police escort, which means the speed limit is merely assigned to them. A rep for the Department for Transportation told outlets the Prime Minister and royal family are driven by police, so the driver would be exempt because the police have an exemption in law. Privacy. In brief, the Freedom of Information Act 2000 provides public access to information held by public authorities. It does this in two ways. Public authorities are obligated to publish certain information about their activities, and members of the public are entitled to request information from public authorities. The royal family is in fact exempt from this act, due to the fact they are not technically a public authority. However, the royal family willingly provides information to account openly for its use of the public's money and try to be as transparent in many areas. In this regard, they have used this act before, not releasing information or press on subjects that could negatively affect their image. Immunity. No, not to disease, but to prosecution. Although civil and criminal proceedings cannot be taken against the sovereign as a person under UK law, the Queen is careful to ensure that all her activities in her personal capacity are carried out in a strict accordance with the law. Even though she knew she was protected, the Queen made sure not to take advantage of her immunity. This means King Charles will have the same immunity and has already seen a bit of it, with a scandal coming out against his charity to which he had no legal action taken against him, nor got linked to the event. I'm sure there are certain things you just can't get away with immunity, but let's see how morally correct everyone watching this is. If you had full immunity, what would you do? Jury duty. Anyone who has done jury duty is going to be fairly jealous for this one, but you could have guessed it, the king doesn't have to do jury duty. In all fairness, I would have never wanted the king to be part of a jury if I had a court case. It used to be the case for all the royals, but Desmond Turner, a member of parliament, said, "The notion that anyone is too grand or too clever or too important to serve on a jury is not to be borne." So that eliminated a blanket pass for anyone in the royal family, but not for the monarch or immediate family members. So sorry to all but immediate family of the royals, but you do have to sit through my deposition regarding my parking tickets. All the swans. The king can claim each and every swan that lives in England, to which he desires. The rule goes back to earlier English rule, but is still in effect for a reason of tradition or the possibility that no one has bothered to revise it. Swans were considered a culinary delicacy. In current times, it is illegal to consume most swans because they are protected by wildlife. I've had duck, and if swan tastes like duck, then the king should cash in on that before they revise it. No passport, no driver's license. The king doesn't need to use a driver's license. The reason is that such official documents are technically issued by the monarch. The head of the roads policy for Britain's Automobile Association, Jack Cousins, spoke to the Mirror in September 2022. Driving licenses are issued by His/Her Majesty's government under His/Her Majesty's authority. Cousins said, as such, Charles does not need one. Unfortunately, he is the only royal who's exempt from driver's license, but imagine how hard it would be to suspend a license of non-existence. No legal last names. This is pretty straightforward. They do not need nor are obligated to use their legal last names on anything. They do technically have last names, but are not obligated to use them at all. No custody battles. While regular grandparents have to go through the courts if they want custody of their grandkids, the king has automatic legal custody of all his descendants and his minor grandchildren. This means Charles technically has custody of Prince William and Kate Middleton's 3 children, Prince George, Prince Charlotte, and Prince Louis, and Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's children, Archie and Lilibet. This 300-year rule may seem old, and though it's unlikely the king would ever take his grandchildren away from their parents, the law is still technically there. Thank you for watching.